Please join us in a spirit of meditation, reflection, or prayer as we deepen into our service and share our opening words for this morning. This sacred thread is by Heather K. Januels. They once dwelled among us, the people of memory. They knew us, they who taught us, they who heard us, and they who loved us. They touch our lives time and again, through their presence and their absence, through familiar scents and favorite songs, through old stories and renewed sorrow. As the earth turns and leaves fall, we reach back to renew the bonds between us. With hearts and hands open, we hold on to love, even stronger than death. We reach back in gratitude and understanding. Without our time together, the pain and the joy, we would never be who we are today. We would have little to pass on ourselves. Without fear, with thanksgiving, and with hope for all that awaits, we remember those who have gone before. We honor the circle of life and death and our place within this sacred thread.
This is Jay and his family. They're getting ready for Halloween. Jay's mom is on the steps. She's making his Halloween costume. Jay and his dad are decorating the front porch. There's a scarecrow on the swing, spiders in the corner, and paper bats hanging from the ceiling. Now it's time to carve the jack-o'-lantern. They cut out the top. They pull out the seeds. And they cut out the face. There are 2 circle eyes, a triangle nose, and 3 square teeth. They put the jack-o'-lantern on a table on the front porch, next to a big, scary bowl of candy. But Jay's mom and dad say, "Jay, you can only have 1 piece of candy each day." Jay is not happy. The next morning, Jay wakes up. He remembers the candy. He puts on his backpack and he gets ready to go to school. As he walks out the door, he grabs a big handful of candy and runs to school. When he comes home, something's different. The jack-o'-lantern is different. The eyes are a little scarier. The nose is a little smaller, and the teeth are a little sharper. What happened? The next morning, when Jay goes to school, he takes another big handful of candy and runs to school. When he comes back, the jack-o'-lantern is even scarier. The eyes are scarier. The nose is smaller. The teeth are sharper. What's happening? The next morning, when Jay goes to school, he grabs another big handful of candy and runs to school. But when he comes home, the jack-o'-lantern is very scary. The eyes are very scary. The nose is very small, and the teeth are very sharp. That night, Jay hears a voice, a whisper from outside. Too much candy. He gets out of bed, walks down the stairs, opens the front door. Where is the jack-o'-lantern? Where is the candy? He hears the voice again. Too much candy. He walks down the stairs and walks to the corner, and again he hears the voice. Too much candy. He walks around the corner and looks. There's nothing there. Too much candy. It's coming from behind him. He slowly turns around. Too much candy. Jay's in bed. He wakes up. It was all just a dream.
Our thirsting cleanse as we begin again. Mist and iced, a host of changes, all that courage will allow. With the cup, the holy chalice rest, we ask you be here now. Our spirit intuition, the center of our soul. Your love we find relation, connected we are whole. Timeless mystery, quiet conscious secrets, values, voice inside.
For most of us, Halloween, my name is Karen Faye Thompson. For most of us, Halloween is a secular holiday that has lost all its religious connections with saints and souls of the beloved dead. During this presentation, we'll explore how the ancient religious holiday Samhain morphed into modern-day Halloween, how pagans now celebrate Samhain, and how we can participate in Halloween yet honor its pagan origins. I've been interested in earth-centered spirituality for several years. And although I'm not a practicing neo-pagan, in preparing this presentation, I consulted with a local practicing neo-pagan. Samhain is an ancient Celtic Harvest Festival. It's spelled like this. Samhain and pronounced Samhain. It likely began in what is now Ireland more than 2,000 years ago. The word Samhain means summer's end. The festival was celebrated at the end of harvest, and it marked the start of the coldest half of the year, as well as the start of the spiritual new year. It fell halfway between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice. Excuse me. Little is known about how the original Samhain was celebrated. It was a time to give thanks to the earth and the sun for bountiful crops, and to the animals who gave up their lives to provide food for the people. These people prepared feasts in cauldrons, which were common kitchen items at that time. To make mulled cider, they used apples, which they thought had healing and life-giving powers. Around this time, growers also had to decide how much of the harvest to keep back during the dark half of the year for spring planting. And a miscalculation could result in starvation and death. Death was acknowledged openly at this time, and people processed their fear of death through rituals and symbols. They made Samhain a time to let go of their fears and worries and to give everyone an opportunity to start the new year fresh. Many believe that on this night, the doorway to the other world opened up and the ancestors and spirits could visit the earthly realm. Pagans use the phrase, "the veil is thin," to refer to this time. People carved faces in vegetables like turnips and pumpkins, and they placed them near windows alongside candles, both to protect themselves from evil spirits roaming the earth and to welcome their ancestors. They placed broomsticks near the hearth to keep evil spirits from entering the home. Black cats also entered the picture. A Celtic fairy named Sith, which looked like a large black cat, was set to bless any house that left a saucer of milk out for it to drink, and to curse any house that did not. So I'm not going to take any chances this morning. Believers disguised themselves in costumes to fool homeowners and evil spirits so that they wouldn't get tormented when they went door to door singing pagan songs. And because the singers were in costume, the homeowners couldn't know for sure if the singers were humans or evil spirits. So instead of persecuting the singers, the homeowners rewarded them with food and mulled cider and sent them safely on their way. People also put prepared food outside their doors as offerings to appease any evil spirits and to welcome in their ancestors. They lit bonfires in honor of their dead to aid them on their journey back to the other world. With the growth of and spread of Christianity as the dominant religion in Europe, Samhain took on Christian names and roles. This merging may have been a way to convert Celts to Christianity. The Pope moved All Saints' Day to coincide with Samhain, sometime in the 7th century, after Rome invaded the Celtic lands. All Saints' Day, or All Hallows, on November 1, commemorated the Christian saints and martyrs. All Souls' Day on November 2nd honored the souls of the dead. Later, with the coming of the Christian Spaniards to Mexico, the indigenous people's customs of honoring the dead at this time of the year mixed with Roman Catholicism to give rise to the Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos. Samhain shares this practice of paying respects to the dead with these Christian holidays. The earth-centered spiritual traditions and symbols of Samhain persist strongly in Halloween. There's mulled cider and bobbing for apples. There are jack-o'-lanterns on porches and candles in windows, bonfires and bats, and people in costumes doing trick-or-treating. There are black cats and witches, and broomsticks and cauldrons. Halloween provides an outlet for modern neo-pagans to celebrate the traditions and rituals of Samhain. In the Northern Hemisphere, neo-pagans celebrate Samhain from sundown today, or October 31st, through tomorrow, November 1. We too can honor this holiday. Honoring this dark season can be as simple as finding a little space in your morning to set an intention for your day, to choose stillness for just a moment. The season of death is also the season of renewal. It could mean turning off your screens a little earlier in the evening to allow for some quiet time away from distraction. Or maybe it's time to read that book that you've been meaning to pick up. When you cook, you can leave a plate full of food at the table for a beloved ancestor, or create an altar with food and memorabilia to show respect for that ancestor. And after the meal, you can put the plate outside as an offering for the dead. You can participate in Halloween festivities and at the same time, keep in mind their origins in earth-centered spirituality. For example, when your family dresses up in masks and costumes, you can remember that this tradition started when early pagans celebrated their religious holiday in disguise to avoid being caught and persecuted for their beliefs. On your own, you can go for a quiet meditative nature walk where you can pay attention to the changing seasons, its colors, aromas, and sounds. And here you can experience yourself as part of the circle of life and death. Or you can cut an apple in half, pour your worries and fears into it, and put it back together again and bury it in the ground. This Samhain tradition serves as an offering to the spirits of the underworld, a thank you to the earth for its bounty, and a symbolic way to put the past behind you. Because neo-pagans believe that the veil between this world and the other world is so thin during this time, Samhain is a time of psychic clarity and divination. They believe that it's possible at this time to see what is normally hidden. And some neo-pagans use this time to summon their ancestors to help them make decisions about their time, about their lives. Well, what meaning can Samhain have for us today? Writer and pagan Irene Glass answers the question this way. It is that stillness, she writes, that inner quiet that we carry with us into winter. For pagans, the dark season is a time to go within and do deeper, more personal work on ourselves. It's easy to get distracted in the warm months when the light begins to fade, though, a different kind of work can begin. What did you lose this year? What quiet places inside you ache from neglect? We expend so much energy on the needs of others. What have you remembered to tend your own flame? Cycles occur in more than the world around us. It's so easy to forget with all our technology, all our bread and circuses, that we are part of nature, not separate from us, but not separate from it. And like the trees and the animals, we need time to rest and to nurture ourselves for the next growing season. We too grow weary after a long summer. We tire and fade and need to go into darkness for a time. We renew there, heal the wounds, and tend the fire within. Based on what you know about Samhain now and on your own memories, if you would please take a few minutes to choose one of 3 questions that Marcy had just posted in the chat and answer it for yourself. All right, welcome back, everybody. If anybody is, if you're comfortable to share your answers, it would be lovely. I would love to hear them. If anybody wants to step in and be the first person, I would love to hear your answer.
I'll jump in to start. I was thinking about my grandmother, my dad's mom, and she's passed, and she was a very strong woman, I'm sure. She was married, had tons of children in this Catholic culture. And my grandfather had some issues with alcohol. I don't think he ever resolved that. He died relatively young. So she probably had 2 decades before the end of her life where she was widowed. And but she was very religious and the Bible, and seemed to be very at peace at that point. So I just thought about her and like how the things I would ask her now as a grown woman, rather than a child and a granddaughter. And what was that life like? And what, I think those women in that culture where there's no divorce and there's no way out, and like, how did they maintain their sense of themselves and, the weird maneuverings you do to maintain your sense of power and place, and how much that's changing now, So I guess what I would like to banish is that still, generational feeling of having to suppress something and be, at the mercy of the man in your life and the husband, and not having choice and not having a voice or all of that. And I'm sure she would support me, because this is what is evolving and changing in our culture, and hope, and has to, if we're going to survive, honestly, because the masculine and its dominance is kind of ruining our planet and our society. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Great. Thank you, Alicia.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go. This is Marnie Peel. I was thinking a lot about my grandparents, my mom's side. My Opa, he was the only one in his family to survive the Holocaust. He came across to America, and his family died there. And one of the things I think about a lot of it, he was really a loving person. He was quiet, and I think the way he survived in some ways was he had his family. My mom was the only one of 4 born here, and they farmed and did what they did there. They lost everything, but they were able to recreate a life here. And I think that working in the land and tying back to nature, I don't know if he would have talked about it in that way, but he was a farmer and a livestock person in Germany, and that's what he did in the United States. And so I think a lot about how much love and land matter when you as a human. He taught me that you can be the incredible resiliency of humanity. I think that's really big. He wasn't undamaged, but he was really a loving person who worked really hard. And I think that I see that gardening and that getting into the dirt with my favorite aunt, who was also passed, my mom's older sister. She was a master gardener and had a flower farm, and just the healing strength of the land, I think, and being in it. And that you can survive anything with love and nature around you. And so I just would like to ask him more about why, those cattle and his drives that he took, why that mattered so much to him and how he felt about land. I would like to have asked him those questions.
Thank you, Marnie. I think we have time for one more person.
I'm hesitating because I'm not part of the congregation.
Please, Cynthia.
So I'm a good friend of Karen's, which you probably can figure out. and I'm a Quaker. And my father was also a Quaker and a very mystical man, and very much influenced me in terms of understanding that spirit is everywhere and it's accessible to us, and it's a powerful support in our lives. And what I came to me very clearly with that idea of cutting the apple in half and then putting in the negative ideas and then burying the whole apple. I love that. I'm going to do it. Is it's time to let go of any sense I have of powerlessness, that my life is not meaningful and powerful. It's time to put that one to rest. And I think it's true for every human being. That it's time we can all put that to rest, that our lives are not significant.
Thank you, Cynthia. And thank you, everyone. Thank you for your attention today and for your comments. They're very rich. I'd like to close by offering you this Samhain blessing. May your time with your ancestors be joyful. May your new year be filled with everything you need: a warm home, loving family and friends, enough food to keep hunger at bay, clothing to keep you comfortable, and even bring you a way to get a couple of the things that you just want.
Return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return. Ah hey, ah hey, ah hey, ah hey, ah ho, ah ho, oh, ah ho, ah hey, ah hey, ah hey, ah hey, ah ho, ah ho, ah ho, ah ho. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return. Ah hey, ah hey, ah hey, ah hey, ah ho, ah ho, ah ho, ah ho. Ah hey, ah hey, ah hey, ah hey, ah ho, ah ho, ah ho, ah ho. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return. Ah hey, ah hey, ah hey, ah hey, ah ho, ah ho, ah ho, ah ho. Ah hey, ah hey, ah hey, ah hey, ah ho, ah ho, ah ho, ah ho. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return.